1776, Adam Smith starts his Wealth of Nations, Chapter 1, Page 1, Paragraph 1, with specialization and the division of labor. He takes a look at a hypothetical pin factory where he noted that a handful of workers, each individually creating pins, could create about 18 pins a day. However, if those same workers specialized in pulling the threads, creating the head, and other tasks, they could create 48,000 pins a day. That's an exponential increase in productivity. So specialization or division of labor is about increasing productivity. It's an often neglected idea in economics. It's known to the classical economists like Adam Smith, but modern-day economists tend to stress technological advancement or gains. But a lot can be done with simply specializing in a task. Look at the Amish. The Amish are probably one of the most productive and successful business communities in the world, and they use virtually no technological improvements, simply based on division of labor and hard work. Now, division of labor goes hand in hand with the idea of free trade, because think about it. If you need to grow your own oranges in Vermont, and you need to also simultaneously create your own clothing, you're going to have a hard time growing cotton and oranges in Vermont. So Vermont trades with Florida, and Florida trades with Vermont for specialized goods. And the underlying premise behind this specialization and division of labor, Ludwig von Mises, 1949, Human Action, he wrote a book about how individuals in society are interconnected. Capitalism and free markets are not about Darwinistic self-interest, but rather, we as a society try and strive to create something better on enlightened self-interest, individual action based on free markets and free ideas. Now, Adam Smith didn't invent the idea of specialization. Specialization probably started way back in human evolution, a million years ago, with even the evolution of primates, when hunter and gatherers started to specialize in the strong, staying behind, hunting and gathering, and even defending, while those who were more suited, let's say, for childbirth, stayed actually in the village close quarters. This was extended, and eventually it became just simply common sense business that everybody would specialize in what they do best. Some people had innate talent, some people had skills, some people had a passion for doing something, but specialization became a part of the economy. And Plato, 300 years BC, he started to note this. Now, Plato himself did not talk about specialization in terms of it's an economic concept that should be applied to free markets. Plato is all about how man could be a better human, looking at justice and wisdom. He noted specialization, division of labor, did help productive and allocative efficiency in his indirect way, but it was really about, did this really help a person obtain virtue? And Plato's answer was not necessarily, so it was more of a side note. Other economists had also picked it up. Karl Marx, socialist economist. He had the idea that specialization led to boredom. You do the same repetitive task over and over and over. But think about it. He was operating in the context of an industrial revolution in a factory where you might put one widget over and over for 10 hours a day. He also said that this type of repetitive work didn't enhance people's skills as a whole. In contrast, modern society is probably the polar opposite of what Marx envisioned. For example, I'm getting a PhD in economics, just reading economics texts, learning about scientific and empirical methods of econometrics, mathematics. It makes me a more rounded person. And when I pick up literature about biology or chemistry, I can read it with a greater fluency. I also have a corollary interest that I pick up when I'm reading in text. And in general, studying makes me a more literate person, more well-rounded person. I don't drop my other interests to study economics. I continue them. So Karl Marx's argument that it makes people one-dimensional, I don't see how that is relevant in a modern society. And think about all the exciting and interesting people working in the Silicon Valley. They're not just plugging lines of code. I guarantee if you ask them individually, they have a multitude of interest. Another rebuttal about Karl Marx's idea that specialization is necessarily bad for humanity because it makes us repetitive part of the machinery, it's a fallacy because you have to ask Karl Marx, Did you make those clothes? Even if he had a little bit of skill in sewing, he didn't grow the cotton. He didn't create the pin. And in fact, even the breakfast he had, he didn't raise that food. Those tasks are allocated to farmers and to tailors. So specialization creates a more productive society. If you're thinking in the context of the construct of the PPC, PPF, possibility frontier, it expands it outward. You can have more goods and society can have more goods. You'll earn more money and society grows wealthier. So this is one of the ideals and basic economic concepts that we all have to learn, is that it's a positive-sum game. How does specialization exactly do this? It does it on multiple levels, economies of scale. Think about building a bridge. Could you personally build a bridge across the Volga River, Hudson River, the St. Johns River? Any of these rivers, it would be impossible for one singular person to build a bridge. Perhaps in this lifetime at least. However, multiple people working together can create a bridge, and this benefits society as a whole. So economies of scale is a large component of specialization. Also, skill set. Think about, would you want to be your own dentist? Would you want to take a piece of string, tie it to a doorknob, and pull your tooth out? I personally would rather pay a dentist for a tooth extraction. So specialized skills are attributed to each individual. That is particularly noted when you come to medicine or even flying an airplane. Would you want to build your own airplane and fly it across the country or across the globe? I'd rather just go online, purchase some tickets, fly to Paris, fly to London, and specialize in the things that I know how to do. So specialization comes with coupled economies of scale and specialized skills. Another benefit of specialization is you don't have to spend time switching between tasks. Let's say you're farming, but then you're also an economist, but you also have to be a doctor. You're not going to be jumping through different hoops to go back and forth between these different tasks. You can just spend your time in the office doing the thing that you like to do. It also promotes automation. Think of Henry Ford and automobiles. There is no way that we could each individually create our own car. So the point I'm driving at is, this is in contrast to something that's called a Robinson Crusoe economy. Robinson Crusoe could be a self-sufficient man. He could fish, hunt, collect food, create a hut, but that's probably as far as he is going to go. It's only in this social cooperation, the social contract that we all have, we consciously choose to participate in society. And again, this is very different than the social Darwinism sometimes spun into critiques of capitalism. Ludwig von Mises, who was an unrepentant capitalist in the sense that he believed in the ideals of freedom and free movement of labor and capital and trade, he was very diametrically opposed to this idea or this notion that capitalism was Darwinism. It wasn't. It was social cooperation, a conscious contract that we enter into to benefit ourselves and benefit society as a whole. Further, when it's a command-control society, something that you might have in totalitarian regimes, it's not going to work as effectively as a free society. In a free society, when we have this division of labor, I could be a web designer, I could be an artist, I could be an airline pilot, I can do anything, I can pursue my dreams. And this goes in hand with Maslow's hierarchy of need of self-actualization. But in a command and control economy, not only you don't have productive and allocative efficiency, but an individual's happiness decreases. In conclusion, was Adam Smith correct? Yes, Adam Smith was correct. Division of labor enriches yourself. You don't have to be a Robinson Crusoe economy, and enriches society. And Ludwig von Mises is correct. This is a social contract. It's not Darwinism. So capitalism, free markets, ideals of freedom prevail. Thank you very much.